You've heard the term, right? Manifestation. It's all over the place. The basic idea is that you can literally think your way to a better life. But is that for real? Is it some kind of cosmic secret, or is there something else going on? Something grounded in, actual science? Well, today, we're going to dig in and find out. So, let's start with how the experts see it. Researchers actually define it as the ability to, and I quote, cosmically attract success. Now, that's the popular version, right? The idea that your thoughts are like little signals you send out to the universe, and the universe just rearranges things to give you what you want. Sounds pretty magical, and honestly, that's a huge part of its appeal.
And believe me, that appeal is massive. I mean, ever since the book and movie The Secret took over the world, this idea has just exploded. It offers this incredible promise of control, of having a direct line to the life you've always dreamed of. It's a really seductive idea, and it's no wonder it's captured the imaginations of millions.
But let's look past the vision boards and the positive affirmations for a second. What's really going on here? What does the actual data tell us about the psychology of the people who truly believe they can manifest their own reality? Because this is where it starts to get really, really interesting.
So let's take a little psychological snapshot. Some recent studies have started to unpack the personality traits and even the behaviors that go along with a strong belief in manifestation. It gives us this fascinating, data-driven peek behind the curtain. And first things first, this is not some fringe belief we're talking about. A study found that over a third of the people they surveyed were on board with manifestation. I mean, think about that. That is a huge number. It just goes to show you how mainstream this idea has become. Okay, and this is where a really interesting paradox shows up in the data. On the one hand, people who believe in manifestation see themselves as more successful, and they have these really big dreams. That all sounds pretty great, right? But on the other hand, the same data shows they're also way more likely to get into risky investments, more likely to have actually gone bankrupt, and they tend to think success should happen like yesterday. So it's this weird mix of super high confidence and super high risk. So what gives? Is this whole thing just blind faith that comes with some pretty risky side effects, or is there something deeper going on here? Something that the whole cosmic attraction theory might be missing entirely? And that question leads us directly to the real powerhouse behind all of this, your mindset. This is the psychological bridge, the thing that explains how practices like visualization and positive self-talk can actually create real, tangible results, no magic required. So, what even is a mindset? Well, the simplest way to think about it is that it's your filter for reality. It's the collection of attitudes and beliefs that shapes how you see everything, how you react to problems, and ultimately what you believe is even possible for you. And this is where the brilliant work of psychologist Carol Dweck comes in. She found we basically have two core mindsets. Someone with a fixed mindset thinks their talents are just set in stone. But someone with a growth mindset, well, they believe they can grow and develop their abilities through hard work. They don't see challenges as threats, they see them as opportunities. And here's the big connection. The practices that people use for manifestation, like setting clear goals and using affirmations, are actually incredibly powerful tools for building a growth mindset. It's not about wishful thinking. It's about actively training your brain to hunt for success. Okay, that sounds cool, but how does this brain training actually work? Well, let's look under the hood. We're going to dive into the neuroscience, because there are real biological things happening in your brain that explain why these techniques are so effective. Everything starts with this amazing concept called neuroplasticity. The big takeaway is that your brain isn't fixed. It's more like plastic. It's constantly rewiring itself based on what you think and what you do. So, when you focus on a goal over and over, you are physically strengthening the pathways in your brain associated with that goal. And check this out. Here's how your brain actually finds what you're looking for. Deep in your brainstem, there's something called the reticular activating system, or RAS. Think of it like your brain's bouncer. It filters all the noise and only lets in what it thinks is important to you. You know how when you decide you want a certain kind of car, and then suddenly you see it everywhere? That's your RAS. By setting a really clear intention, you're literally programming that filter to spot people, ideas, and chances that match your goal.
This really nails the big shift in thinking. The power isn't somewhere out there in the cosmos, it's right inside your own head. You're not bending the universe, you're actively reshaping your own brain to see and act on the opportunities that are already all around you.
And your brain even gives you a little chemical reward for doing this. When you really vividly imagine yourself succeeding, your brain releases dopamine. That's the motivation chemical. And the coolest part? This happens in anticipation of the win, not just after you get it.
That dopamine hit makes you feel focused and driven to actually take the steps to make it happen. It's this awesome, self-fueling cycle.
So let's make this super practical. A science-backed practice means 1. Get crystal clear on your intention. That's for your RAS. 2. Visualize it with all your senses. 3. Use affirmations you actually believe. And 4, this one is critical, you have to take small actions. That builds momentum. And finally, 5, track your wins, no matter how small, to keep that dopamine flow.
So, all of this brings us right back to our original question. After looking at the psychology and the neuroscience, is manifestation magic, or is it a method? What's the final call on the whole law of attraction thing?
This is the big question that started it all, isn't it? Is there really some universal law out there that brings you things just because you think about them?
Well, from a purely scientific point of view, the answer is pretty blunt. According to Psychology Today, the law of attraction as a cosmic force, it doesn't exist. There's just no evidence for some mystical energy in the universe that's responding to our vibes. So it turns out the real secret isn't a secret at all. The power isn't cosmic attraction, it's focused attention. You're not changing the universe, you're changing your brain's own filtering system. You're using neuroplasticity to literally hardwire a growth mindset. And you're hacking your own dopamine system to motivate yourself to take action. The power isn't magic, it's the science of your own incredible mind. And that's a tool anybody can learn how to use.
So I'll leave you with this. We've seen that you have the ability to intentionally direct your brain's focus and prime yourself for success. So the question isn't really if you can shape your life, it's how you're going to choose to do it. What will you focus on next?